Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my March 2019 book haul. I have a couple of library books, I have a couple of books that I own, I have one book that isn't really for me. So let's get to it. I figured I'd start with the library books because those are the books that I will be reading the quickest. These are parts of my April TBR. Starting with this one. This is A Place for Us by Fatima Farheen Mirza. It had been on my radar for a while. It's a bit of a BookTube darling, but I am reading it in April because it is part of the BookTube Prize. The BookTube Prize was started by Robert Barter Hordes and a bunch of judges under his direction who are whittling down a list right now of some of the most popular literary fiction titles that were published last year. They recently just announced the quarterfinals. They had an octofinals of 48 books, and now they have a quarterfinals of 24 books. And A Place for Us is still on it, so that's exciting. I would have read it anyway. I made a whole video in January about the books I decided to read off of the octofinals list. So I'll be reading this one and another one off of the octofinals B list. And I'd already read a third one off of that list, and then I will be comparing them. So I'm very excited. I only hear great things about this book, about a Muslim American family with family drama, and I love family drama, so I'm very optimistic. And this next book comes off of my Jewish fiction published in 2018 list, which I made primarily through the National Jewish Book Awards, which were also announced in January. And this book won one of those awards. This is The Last Watchman of Old Cairo by Michael David Lucas. And it is a story that takes place in Cairo about an interfaith family comprised of Muslims and Jews. And I believe that the Muslim part of the family have members who are guards over a historic synagogue in Cairo. And this is a historical fiction novel, and I'm hoping it'll be a great read. Now moving on to the one book that I bought for myself. Technically I have another one that's coming in the mail, and I also have another library hold that hopefully will come to me sooner or later. But this is the one book so far in my possession that I bought. This is Cadillac, Oklahoma by Louise Farmer Smith. This is a book of short stories, and I'm going to read from the publisher page about what it's about because I ordered this book because I'm interested in publishing my own novella, which it's slowly but surely getting to that point where I think I'm ready to start submitting it. And I've been looking at small presses that I think might fit the bill, and of course that means looking at the books they've already published and seeing if any seem similar to what my novella is about. And this short story collection seemed to stand out to me, so this is what it's about. When you step off the train in Cadillac, Oklahoma, you'll wade through currents of hilarity and romance, where the sheriff is in love with the wife of a prominent lawyer, and the banker's widow and a Las Vegas sex worker team up to beautify Cadillac. Not until a young female reporter cracks open the self-satisfied surface of the town is the folly, anger, and pain revealed. These resentments of tree huggers, store owners, and the town fathers ignite over a proposal to create a New England-style town green in this water-starved former Dust Bowl town. This is not Concord, Massachusetts. Citizens who don't care about the town politics deal with domestic abuse, religious rivalry, and stale marriages. The sheriff, Jake Hale, seeks help from a retired lawyer, Sloan Willard, in an effort to save the life of a teenage girl accused of murdering the father who raped her. The town's guiding forces of football, religion, and guns unite as a praying mass of churchgoers overwhelms Jake's attempt to manage an out-of-control hostage situation at Cadillac's Youth Detention Center. Before you get back on the train, you will have grown to love these people and their thirst for love, beauty, water, and justice. So yeah, this is a bit larger than life, and a bit larger in scope, I think, than my own novella, except that I'm also dealing with a small town and domestic troubles and some skeletons in the closet where things aren't as idyllic as they seem. So that's what drew me to the story collection, and I'm also hoping that I will enjoy what's inside. then this is the book that I was not intending to possess. It was a surprise to me. Let me get it in closer here. This is a little book about the Brontes. It's the complete novels in one sitting. My parents got it for me in London, where they were on vacation a couple of weeks ago. And my mother at one point said she had a Jane Austen book like this in hand. And she was debating about which one to get, and she was telling me this and saying, I couldn't remember if you were more of a Bronte-phile or an Austenite. And I was like, don't you remember my shelf? So she made the right choice at least, although this isn't exactly what it promises to be. This is not all of the novels of the Bronte sisters in one book, not surprisingly, given how tiny it is, really. And but it is a lot of you know, summaries and cutesy information. We have some bios of the three sisters and summaries of all of the books. I do love the quotes that they picked for the three women as part of this little booklet. I'll start with Anne. This is a quote that she wrote about controversy over her second book, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, which depicted an abusive alcoholic marriage. I find myself depicting, and here she's quoting someone else, a morbid love of the coarse, if not the brutal. I maintain that it is better to depict them as they really are than as they would wish to appear. And then here's from Emily, who was known, I think, as the best of the three at poetry. She wrote one novel, but she's known as the best poet of the sisters, and this is known as her final poem that she wrote. No coward soul is mine, no trembler in the world's storm-troubled sphere. I see heaven's glory shine, and faith shines equal, arming me from fear. And finally, we have Charlotte, the longest-lived and most prolific of the sisters. This quote comes from a letter she wrote to literary critic George Henry Lewes. Imagination is a strong, restless faculty which claims to be heard and exercised. Are we to be quite deaf to her cry and insensate to her struggles? So, yeah, I love it. I love all of this stuff. So, although it's difficult to read in this tiny little book, but this is definitely going on the shelf. And finally, I have the book that is not for me, although I bought it. This is a birthday present for my father, which he requested. This is The House at the Edge of Night by Catherine Banner, and I was quite shocked when he told me this was the book he wanted, because you can kind of tell from the title alone that it's literary fiction, and that is not usually his bag. But his bag is southern Italy. I mean, yeah, that's where we're from, and so I think a friend suggested this to him because of the subject matter. So I will read from the back. Castellamare is an enchanting island off of the coast of Italy, far enough away from the mainland to be forgotten, but not far enough to escape from the world's troubles. At the center of the island's life is a cafe draped with bougainvillea called the House at the Edge of Night, where the community gathers to gossip and talk. Armadeo Esposito, a foundling from Florence, finds his destiny on the island with his beautiful wife Pina, whose fierce intelligence and grace guide her every move. An indiscretion tests their marriage as their children grow up and struggle with both humanity's cruelty and its capacity for mercy and love. Spanning nearly a century, through the secrets and mysteries, through love stories and family trials, through stories of revenge and sacrifice, this rich and haunting novel is populated with unforgettable characters, transformed by 2 world wars and a Great Recession, by the threat of fascism and their deep bonds of passion and friendship, and by bitter rivalries and the power of forgiveness. So, yeah, this seems like upper middle class divorce in southern Italy, as Steve Donahue might say about literary fiction from this area. This seems like something I would love, but I didn't buy it for me. I bought it for my dad, and I'm hoping that he'll appreciate it. I'll have to see if this will get him interested in literary fiction. So that about covers it for me now. I should be back tomorrow to do my Friday reads, which I think will be my first on-time Friday reads in a long time. I'm currently in the middle of Tender is the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald, which is the the final of his novels I have left to read, or at least of those that he finished in his lifetime. And I also have a couple of other novels that I am hoping to finish this month. It might be crazy, it probably is crazy, but I'm gonna try for it anyway, so we'll see how I do with all of that. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.